Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. And, oh my goodness, this has been the probably busiest month of my life. Oh, here I go with the ums again. Yeah, I got warned again about that. And anyway, I was hoping to upload a couple of videos, but they had some audio problems. They were done by a friend of mine, well, a friend, an acquaintance of mine in the area, and there was problems with the audio. There was two cameras, and every time it switched from one camera to the other, there was this loud buzzing noise. And I would have uploaded them, except you can't replace videos on YouTube. You have to you have to delete whatever was there you didn't want and upload another one. So I didn't particularly want to split those videos like that. One is going to be on my book channel and the other one's going to be on this one. And I also, there was something else about them that I wanted changed, and hopefully that will happen in the next week or two. But listen, oh my God. Not only is there a lot going on in my life personally, there's just a whole bunch going on in this country. I just came back from a class last night, and I wasn't sporting this. I actually had it on, and then I went back to my car and put it in my car and went inside without it, but I put it back on when I left. So now I'm making this video with it on. I hope the lighting in here isn't too bad, where you can actually see my eyes. So there's something I've been talking about a lot lately, and something that I noticed as social media started to become really popular. I have said it in other videos that I was inside of the computer industry when the internet began, when it was born, when it used to be the World Wide Web. And before that, it used to be what we call BBSs, bulletin board services that would sprout out in your local community, and you could communicate with people in your area, whoever was connected to that BBS. It was dial-up. It was really slow. Well, we thought it was lickety-split fast back in the day, but today people would not be able to tolerate the speed of that. But you practically had to be some kind of a techie when the internet first began, because to configure the World Wide Web was a pain in the ass. Oh my God, it was. Yeah, you had to almost be a programmer or have a friend that was in the industry that could help you configure the internet for you to use with browsers. So in the beginning, it wasn't as, there weren't a heck of a lot of people on the internet at the time it started. And thing is, we're dealing with a whole different ball game right now with regards to social media. And I've watched it over the decades. I've watched it change. I've watched it redefine certain things. And the thing that sticks out the most to me about the internet today, about social media in particular, is the word communicate. And I've been talking about this a lot to my friends, my acquaintances, on social media. I've been making posts about it, that people have lost the ability to communicate or even to learn how to communicate. Now, I hate to always go back to Webster's because that dictionary, depending on what culture you're in, that dictionary can suit you or it cannot suit you. And there's this other dictionary called the Urban Dictionary. It's got the craziest definitions of words I've ever seen. I was on a radio show one time. Well, yeah, I used to frequent that show a lot. And I'm sorry, my eyes are starting to bother me. And we looked up I was looking up some words, and I was cross-referencing them with the Urban Dictionary, with Webster's Dictionary. And I mean, the definition of one of those words was absolutely insane in the Urban Dictionary. So what I do is I look up a word, and I look up all the various meanings for that word, and then I find the context in which I mean that word, in which I'm talking about it. So communication is different than just talking. Communication is different than just running your mouth. Communication is different than your opinion. Okay, so let me read to you what the definition in Webster's, the one that I'm speaking of, means about communication, which is to express thoughts, feelings, or information easily or effectively. Those are the two key words. Now, these days on social media, people think their opinion, communicating that easily, means they are effectively communicating when they're not. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Communicating information easily or effectively, to me, that should be and. Yeah, if I was to write a definition of this word, communication, it would be expressing your thoughts, your feelings, or information easily and effectively. Because there's a whole lot of people right now who they cannot communicate to save their life, let alone debate anything in a healthy manner. I think there was a movie called The Debates. Wasn't there? Yeah, I think there was a movie called The Debates, and I think I saw it once. I might have it in my library, I don't know. But there is an art to debating where it doesn't turn into an argument. There is an art of communicating where it doesn't turn into an argument. And it really depends upon the two people or multiple people who are communicating together. Because there's just some people that no matter what you say, how you say it, when you say it, what emphasis you say it, any kind of way that you say any kind of thing, they're going to react instead of responding. So I encourage you to look that word up too. What is the difference between reacting and responding? There's this thing going on. There's this very racist thing going on Fuckabook right now, where anytime an outspoken, I'll talk about me, I suppose. I'll just talk about me because I know it's happening to other people, but I'll just talk about me. Anytime an outspoken, powerful black man or woman says anything in a group with predominantly white people in it, those people get butt hurt just like that. And what is butt hurt? Yeah, they get their feelings hurt. They react. They don't know how to respond. And, dimes to donuts that these people were raised on the internet. They were raised inside of social media. They never learned how to deal with people one-on-one in person. having to develop relationships with people without the use of the internet or cell phones where you're texting. You know, I have a son who, when I first started talking to him, he told me that he didn't know how to talk to his girl. And I think I asked him, what was he doing right then, at that moment in time? What was he doing right then? He said, oh, well, I'm texting her. I said, okay, well, where is she? She's in the same room. I said, boy, if you don't put that damn phone down and talk to her, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. And if he ever sees this video, he knows who he is. And and I remember him whining, or really, I can sense people's inflections in their words and everything, even though I'm not speaking with them over the phone. But I could tell he was practically crying when he said, I don't know what to say to her. But he knows how to text. And see, to me, texting leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to putting across your body language, your facial expressions, just basically how you have to be when you learn how to communicate versus just talking. I mean, we can talk about the sun, we can talk about the weather, we can talk about a lot of things, but that's not really communicating. I mean, that's not that. Those kinds of things don't lend themselves towards forward movement of any kind between you and another person. So I say all this to say that we've lost generations of people to the internet, to social media. And I have been reading a lot of articles and watching a lot of videos of people talking about this phenomenon where the people being mostly affected don't even see it's happening. They don't see that social media is changing the meaning of friendships, is changing the meaning of interpersonal relationships, is changing the definition of communicating. You know, people think they're communicating when they're not. Which takes me to something. In the last video I posted, I talked about making a live the end of this month. A live the end of this month about manhood, about alpha males. And of course, when I do this, I reach out to various different men to get their take on it, to see where their head is at, to see if they're in any way in alignment with the topic. And what I found out was very interesting in that there's a couple of guys that I laugh about this with, that there are a lot of men out there who are wannabe alpha males, but they're not alpha males. And I can tell by asking certain questions or just listening to their interactions with their partners, listening to how they are about their partners, listening to how they are about themselves, what they know is or is not alpha male versus beta male. And so I just dumped that because there would have been only maybe one or two guys, just one, in that live. We still may do something together, and I've had many conversations with this gentleman, and definitely alpha male all the way. See, there's not that many of them out there, and there's a lot. Remember I talked about the crab syndrome? Part of that crab syndrome is to pretend you're alpha male, go after real alpha males, and suck them and pull them back down into a beta way of being. And there's all sorts of ways to be in life. This isn't a right or a wrong. You are either one or the other, but you're not both. And it sounds good to say I'm alpha male and you don't nothing about you screams alpha male. It just sounds good, right? One of the things I learned long ago in this seminar, the curriculum for living that I'm repeating, is that there is this human condition called looking good. Now, on the outside, you would think looking good means, you know, dressed nice, looking good, outwards appearance, looking good. Nah, that's not what it means in that seminar, any of the seminars in that business. Looking good is a way that we hide a lot of our insecurities, and we hide them from ourselves before we hide them from the world. Yeah, we'll hide things that on first thought is that don't look good, so we'll say the opposite. Even though the truth is in what doesn't make us look good to ourselves, what doesn't make us look good to the outside, to people looking in, right? But first, it happens in here that this looking good thing goes on. Where, have you ever had a conversation with somebody where you were trying to tell them how they occur to you and how they're coming off to you, and every single thing you say, they say, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. It's because they've got that looking good thing going on. They don't want anybody to see that really you were right on the money and you struck a nerve. So I said all of that. Ooh, I just jumped about 2-3 different topics. I started out talking about how social media is tearing down the fabric of humanity. And it really is, and it's frightening to see, because I grew up in a time where you couldn't rely on the internet for interpersonal relationships with people. There was no internet. So you had to go out there and learn how to interact with people, or end up a loner or isolated or a hermit or like that, and never talk to anybody. But the people that I were around, the people I grew up around, I had a very large extended family, and we socialized with each other. If I didn't socialize with anybody else, that was still a very, very rich experience, because it did get me out of a shell that I had backed myself into during childhood, because I was so confused about my gender. And if not for my family, I wouldn't have learned how to be with people. Be with people. Not talk at people. Not talk with people. Not shoot the shit with people. I mean real, honest to goodness friendships. People you would consider part of your tribe. People who have your back no matter what. Those kinds of people. And as I sit and look around, especially on social media, there's a whole bunch of lone wolves out there who have nobody in their corner, or they wouldn't be sitting there on the internet complaining about not having any friends. And then, on top of that, they're trying to make friends with people in different states and different countries. I mean, there's this total disconnect going on top of distance going on, and everybody's kind of hiding behind the internet, behind their phones, behind social media, behind wherever they can hide behind, they hiding. They are not building relationships. So I'm in this seminar that if I really told you what was going on in that seminar, well, if I did, you'd understand how I would feel like the triangle. Yeah, like the triangle in a square, or a triangle in a circle. What goes on inside of the seminar is very, very empowering while we're in the seminar. When we come out, whether it's a class or an entire work day, we got to deal with life as people seeing us the way they see us. They don't see the empowerment that we are in the seminar, and we're being trained how to have our speaking and our communicating in alignment with the empowerment that's going on in the seminar. We're being taught that. Every seminar builds and is more empowering and powerful to that end. So, which throws us into breakdown mode, because yeah, we're dealing with a lot of people who don't see any transformation because they didn't know us from before anyway. So they don't see what's going on until we learn how to speak it effectively, how to have authentic conversations built on integrity alone that restores the integrity of relationships with people. People close to us, people we work with, people we're in business with, people we come across, just people. How to change their listening of who they think we are. And the next assignment is going to be really tough for me. You know, when I first saw it, I was like, uh-oh. This is going to bump up against something that I hold on to very, very closely because, okay, I'll just put it out there and see what happens. Okay, I'm watching the time. So I tell a lot of people in a lot of different places, especially on social media and in articles and when I'm writing and in my personal life, that I don't give a fuck. I have an I don't give a fuck attitude. While that is true, it is a defense mechanism for me. It is a way for me to protect what is so very close to me, which is that I'm very compassionate. But I don't want everybody to know that I'm compassionate. Why? Because I have a story in my head about compassion and what people do with it, which is to try to take advantage of it, to try to take advantage of you, try to take advantage of me, try to see that as weak and start digging around in there and trying to expose something that they can use. Now, let me tell you something else about that, and that is, you know, whether that protects me or not, is absolutely doesn't change that I'm a compassionate man. It doesn't change that I'm a likable guy. You'd have to meet me in person to know that, really. Some people know that just by chatting with me and texting with me, but for the most part, they don't see how absolutely outrageous I am, how much fun I am, and just what I put out into the world, unless you're in my world. Everybody watching these videos, you're getting a taste of what I think, but you're not with me in my world to see how I operate. Now, my exes know. They're about the only people that I have let close to me. And 2 years ago, my therapist kept encouraging me to let somebody in besides, you know, women. And so she worked with me to let my friend in. I have a very good friend, and she worked very hard on me to let him in. And she really had to, oh God, I can't stand spiders. See, I got a fly swatter. The spider just came down. So what was I talking about? I was talking about letting people in. Okay, that I don't give a fuck keeps you at bay. All I got to do is say that, and people will back up. And even just saying that is scary for me, because now that you know that it's just a defense mechanism for me, you might try to test that. One of two things will happen. I'll either let you in, or I'll smack you even harder to back up. I'm not guaranteeing that telling you that is going to get you anywhere with me. Just that me saying that is going to make this next assignment that I have very, very challenging, because I have to let people in. I have to find out what their listening of me is and make it not mean anything. Oh, wow. Human beings are meaning-making machines. I made a post about that and told a very intimate story about that and put it in my business group of people and let them see that side of me, that where the meaning that I was placing on things disempowered me for many years. And 1 year I decided, I don't even know it was a decision as much as it is the training and all of the education and all of the self-work that I've done all of my life, all of my adulthood. That was, I changed the meaning of what a lot of things meant as I was going through them. And when I changed the meaning, I was empowered versus disempowered. And I see millions. I can't see billions of people, but I see a lot of disempowered people. My people, black people. We're letting the media disempower us. We're letting very, very frightened white people disempower us. We're letting politics disempower us. We're letting discrimination and racism and the economic bullshit that we're in disempower us. And we've got to find a way inside of all of that that is what is real for people to empower ourselves. And there's a lot of people that are afraid of us becoming empowered inside of all of this that looks really super real to us, which is the racism and the discrimination and this and this and that. I mean, even I am going through that, where I'm looking at that and then trying to find out inside of that how to become empowered, which means I have to change the story that I'm making up about why this happened, why that happened, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm not gonna, so I threw a lot at you, and I still want to take this back to it's about communicating. About communication, not just talking at somebody, talking about somebody, which is just gossip, talking with somebody, which is just shooting the shit. There is a difference between that and having deep conversations with people that move and inspire them, which is why I'm in this seminar, to learn how to move and inspire people in a way that's more than what I already do. And on the back end of that, I'm going to say that I'm putting a shout out for a young lady, an activist named Amber Evans, who is missing. Mainstream media does a very fucked up job when young black women and men and boys and girls go missing in this society. CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, all of those mainstream media outlets don't say shit when our people go missing. Oh, but let a little white boy, white girl, white man, white woman, or other, whatever, be missing. And it's covered all over the news. So Amber Evans has been missing for over a month now, and her mother is just beside herself. Roland Martin got in touch with her and is the only media outlet who has interviewed her. The only. Who is going to do some outreach about finding out what happened to the woman. I haven't done any background research on her to find out, but I could swear somebody said she was an activist of some sort. But again, you know, this goes back to the stories about what we make things mean. And it's really difficult not to sit here as a black man and think what it means is people don't care, that they're apathetic, that they're glad it ain't happening to them, that they're glad it's not happening to one of their loved ones. But I guarantee you, most people, if their son or daughter or other went missing, they would be banging on the doors of the media to put exposure out there in the country to find them. Amber Evans also had something to do with the police department. I don't know if it was a disagreement or whatever, but they're not trying to find her. They're not trying very hard, not at all, which is typical in this society. So I will close it with that. I'm going to put a link in this video to, I think, one of Roland Martin's clips about Amber Evans, so that you can get the 411 on her yourself. And if anybody, she's in, I think, Columbus, Ohio, or that's where she was last seen. And if anybody knows anything, you know, reach out to the Roland Martin staff and or her mother, which her name will pop up in the link that I'm going to put as a card in this video as well. So I have a whole lot of things I could be talking about. It's been a while, a minute since I've made a video, and I can't promise I'm gonna make more of them because I do have to complete this seminar, which is very homework intensive, and it is gonna go on until the end of April. So yeah, I'm on fire. I've got several projects going on at the same time, and that's why I've been kind of ghost lately. So everybody have a blessed evening, a good rest of their week and weekend, and the pollinator is out. Peace.